Hello, everybody. My name's James. Welcome to another Planet FPL Clash of the Correspondents. And this week, I'm joined by two correspondents who I think really don't want to be here, but they've agreed to come on and treat you to some fun over the next couple of hours, I reckon. No, not really, Sean, I promise. It's a big battle at the bottom between Burnley and Everton, and it's a double game week for both. Let me first introduce you to our Burnley correspondent, Jack Toner. How are you, Jack?
Yeah, it's nice to be on. I might not get the chance after the season, so take the chance while it comes.
Sound like you're going to cry already. And let me introduce you to our Everton correspondent, Sean Norton. How are you, Sean?
Yeah, I'm okay, James.
Good man. I feel like you're both kind of lying through gritted teeth. We will get onto some FPL stuff, guys, but for both of the guys, the game next Wednesday feels particularly crucial. Jack, how massive is it? Are you almost looking beyond Manchester City and looking straight to Everton next week?
Yeah, I think so. I think you just want to, especially with our record against City, you kind of just want to get a decent performance in. You never expect to win against a team like City. So, yeah, I think Everton's the one you look at and think that's massive. I think we've had a few games where we've sort of looked at and thought if we don't win this one, that sort of seals our fate, and then it just keeps going on and on. But I think the Everton one is massive. If we drop all 3 points there, then yeah, it's hard to see a way back from there, really. So yeah, a win is a must win.
Does it annoy you when I say you've lost the same amount of games as Wolves?
Yeah, I mean, I've argued with many Burnley fans this season, and I genuinely don't think we've been all but that bad. We've just not won enough. And to be fair, the two victories we've had have been probably two of the best times I've seen us play in the Premier League. You know, against Brighton and Brentford, both superb. We've just not done enough to sort of get over the line in some of the other games. You know, you can't win 2 games all season. Well, three games all season and expect to stay up. So yeah, definitely need to start picking up some more wins and running out of time to do it.
Unfortunately, Jack, you're not going to have Tottenham turn up in a pissing rain on a Wednesday night again in freezing temperatures. Actually, it wasn't that cold. It was just very wet.
Yeah.
As I said to you,
the first time it was quite cold.
Yeah, it was actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we were only about 100 yards from each other twice, so I still haven't met you yet, mate. We'll make that day happen. I promise.
Yeah.
How do you feel about it generally at the bottom? Do you feel like you can kick on for this? It almost feels like a brand new start to the season, I think, for those at the bottom this weekend. Almost like what's gone doesn't matter. You've got to forget about it and just get on with these last. I think you've got both of you got 9 games to go.
I think so. And I think in some respect, we're a little bit more settled in, you know, we know that as long as Dyche is happy to be here, we're happy to have him here. So I guess in that respect, we're still all pulling in the right direction. There's been little bits of murmurs this week about, you know, stumbling blocks over some players' contracts like Pope because he wants to be in the England England setup going forward. So whether that will create a little bit of a rift in camp, whether, you know, some of them start to think about some of their plans for next year if they might not be here. But yeah, I think it does have that sort of, well, you know, we start again afresh, but we sort of feel like we've been in the same position a few times. I felt like once we'd beat yourselves and Brighton, I thought, right, you know, 2 wins, here we go, we'll kick on from here. And then it just didn't happen. Same once we've picked up that first win against Brentford earlier in the season, it's like, we'll kick on from here. Again, didn't happen. So I wouldn't hold my breath, but, you know, hopefully something will change a little bit. So
for the benefit of the audio listeners, Sean was just staring at his phone. I don't know, were you staring at the league table, Sean?
How'd you guess? Yeah.
I felt like you might want to double check, and you probably have been like not looking at it for a while. How worried are you?
Yeah, well, I'm not really worried because I'm resigned to going down. It's 11 games that we've both got left as well, not 9.
Correct, 11. Thanks for the correction. That's better news for Jack than it is for you, I think.
Yeah, even more depressing. But I think that's what gives Burnley the edge over Watford when you look at the table, because they've got 2 games in hand, haven't they? So, but obviously you've got to get points. And I think Leeds, with the gap between us and Leeds is 4 points, but we've got 3 games in hand.
Yep.
So if we could win one of those, then Leeds are potentially drawn back in a bit, aren't they? But I personally think it's between Everton, Burnley and Watford, 2 from 3.
Did you not feel an uplift from the Newcastle game? Surely you must have.
Well, yeah, but then a couple of days later, it all went away when we got stuffed by Palace.
But the cup game, I know obviously, look, in the quarterfinal, you want to get to Wembley and stuff, but that didn't matter really, did it? The more important thing is obviously to get the results in the league at the moment, surely.
Yeah, I mean, if we'd have played a team, though, that you sort of was heavily rested, heavy rotation, a few kids in there and stuff, you'd go, well, all right, it's not really relevant, but, we played the stronger team as he could, and we were just absolutely dreadful. But I think Lampard said it, Palace weren't great, and it's no slight on them. They were just all right, but they battered us. It was pretty damning for Everton. And I just think that sort of thing is difficult to get over.
So why you resigned? So, and I know you've been saying it on Twitter and you've been saying it for months, in fairness, like, wake up. Yeah. This is a big problem. You're saying it in sort of November, December, really early. Yeah. You're 17th. Why are you resigned to going down?
Well, our fixtures are definitely more difficult than Burnley's and Watford's. Watford have got about 4 games coming up. I think they're all at home, where they're the most winnable games that they've got. Burnley's fixtures definitely look better than ours. We look incapable of even getting a point on the road. Watford and Burnley have got some points on the road recently, so I think they've got a big advantage over us, that they've shown they can pick up points on the travels, and I honestly think we'll lose every away game we've got that left. I really do. We're just a dip. Me and you have always said it. It's common knowledge. Everton away from home for donkey's years, we've been really, really poor.
But then you weren't under Ancelotti, which is just bizarre.
But it was the COVID season, wasn't it, with no fans, and we offset the fact that we were brilliant away by being rubbish at home. It just flip-flopped, and I just think normal service has sort of been resumed.
But it's not, though, isn't it? Because one of the things we discussed this time last year was that actually probably your football club was probably missing the crowd, maybe more than any other club, because of the hostile environment. Even I know you said it after the Newcastle game, that's what you need the atmosphere to be like at Goodison. And surely, I know there's kind of a divide amongst Everton fans for a number of reasons at the moment, but those games you've got coming left at Goodison, United, Leicester, Chelsea, Brentford, and the Palace game, which will probably go in around 36. If you're up for that and you win 3 of them 5 home games, I know that's easier said than done, that'll be enough, wouldn't it?
Possibly, but that's the thing. You just don't know, do you? And teams, my experience of looking at the Premier League and teams at the bottom, it's normally everybody, like, the teams start picking up points towards the end of the season because they know they're fighting for their lives, and they'll play teams that haven't really got anything to play for, and we haven't got too many games like that. So I honestly think we'll finish on about 32, 33 points, and I don't think that'll be enough.
How many do you think will be enough?
36.
Jack, opinion on that? Points to stay up?
Yeah, I'd be around that, I think. 36, 37. I don't think it'll get to 40.
No, I'd be very surprised if it did. It was looking for a little while, like it might even be sort of low 30s, but I think, yeah, probably about 36 is probably going to be about right. That's 11 points for you, Sean, with 11 games left. It's got to be doable, mate.
I think it is. On one hand, it's doable, but looking at the players that we've got available, Yerry Mina is just, I can't stress enough how big a miss.
How far away is he?
He's set to resume light training, so I'm hoping he's back for the Burnley game. There is a chance. Whether they risk him is another thing, because it's like it's such a crucial game that we don't lose. But if he plays and then he breaks down again, that'll essentially be the season over. So we seem to have a track record lately of, as soon as someone's available, putting them back in the team. So there's every chance that he'll play.
I mean, with the defensive issues you've had, and he's a unit in the air. He's a big lad. He's good aerially.
Yeah, I think what goes unnoticed is he absolutely is the only one defender at the club that can actually organise as well. I think I tweeted against Newcastle. It was literally the second he left the pitch, the defence just capitulated.
Why does Michael Keane not have the experience to do that?
I think he's got the experience, but he's just not. He just doesn't. I think he's too shy. I mean, Jack will know him.
Well, I was going to bring Jack in because he obviously came from Burnley. Thoughts on Keane, Jack?
He was a great player when you played. You could tell that he had the quality. He's not a leader, though. I can completely agree with that. I think he slotted into the side when I think he was still on loan at that point. When he came from United, and I think it changed halfway through the season, and he put Michael Duff back in there just for the experience. We saw the difference as soon as we cashed in on him and put Tarkowski in. It was like we've got a ready-made replacement, and he commanded the back line a lot better. We're not in the position where we need another leader, whilst we've still got Ben Mee, really. But I think if we were to be missing Ben Mee, if Tarkowski wasn't as strong, if it was a Michael Keane sitting in there, I think you would notice the difference a hell of a lot more.
What's the Mee situation while you're covering him, Jack? Is he fit, not fit?
Not fit at the minute, no.
Really?
Yeah, and we're still I think he's still a few weeks off, and we're without Collins because he's suspended.
But he's only suspended for Man City, isn't he?
Yeah. Which is probably a blessing in disguise.
Yeah, to be honest, I can understand why, with that in mind, the focus would move straight to it. Who plays centre-back with Tarkowski on Saturday then?
Kevin Long.
Bloody hell. Yeah, I saw that at the start of last season. I don't... Yeah, sorry.
To be fair, Collins is probably a good shout from fantasy football, because at least he won't get the minus points for conceding 5 goals against Man City.
I'm just gonna go and check what the prices are of Mahrez Sterling going into the weekend. I mean, yeah, that's the problem is, and you've covered this before, when Mee's out, Tarkowski plays out of position as well, right?
Yeah.
He doesn't look clever when he plays left-sided centre-back.
No. They've got a good partnership going with the way it's left foot, right foot. So, and
you could make a case. You beat Tottenham, you beat Brighton. I can't remember which way round those victories were, but really good. I think it was in the double, wasn't it? The back-to-back clean sheets.
Yeah.
And then Mee got injured during the Chelsea game.
Yeah.
Then you conceded 4. Or was it during the Leicester game you got injured? Then you conceded 2. Then you conceded 4 to Chelsea.
Yeah.
And then obviously you lost at Brentford as well, and haven't scored in any of those games since as well. Would you say Ben Mee's your most important player then, because of the knock-on impact it has on others?
I think so. I think it would be. Having said that, I think Collins looks very good. So probably not as much so. I think when in the past, when it's gone from Ben Mee to Kevin Long, it's a big drop down. But to have Collins in there, I'm not too disheartened about losing Ben Mee. There's enough character, I think, in that squad anyway. Without having Ben Mee there, so no, I'm not too concerned, because Collins has looked the real deal. I think Tarkowski's clearly not going to sign now, so I think next season, he fits straight in there, does Collins. So yeah, I'm not too concerned at all, really.
He might end up at your place, Sean Tarkowski. You never know your luck, mate. You can have Tarkowski and Keane together next year.
You can have Kevin Long as well if you want.
I don't think Sean wants to go that far, mate.
He played up front last. I think one of the last time I played against when I went to Goodison.
Sean's resigned to feeling deflated about it at the moment, which I understand. How are you approaching it, Jay? You've been in this position a number of times. Perhaps this feels a little bit worse than normal, to be fair. But does that experience of being in this battle, do you think that helps?
I think it will do. I'm not quite resigned myself to the fact that I think a lot of Burnley fans have. I try and pride myself on being a little bit more positive than some. You look at it, we've got Everton, Watford, Norwich still to play, but against, I think I said it last time we came on, against the bottom sides, we've been dreadful. And just looking at it then, someone's put a little mini league from the bottom 6. We're bottom of it. We've played 7, got 6 points. So it's all right having these easy oppositions, but you've got to win them. So,
the only one you've won is Brentford at home. And that was quite a while ago now, quite early in the season. And we asked then if you could put your finger on why.
But even the Brentford game, though, a couple of weeks ago,
you could have won it at Brentford, in fairness.
Yeah, my dad went. I didn't go. It was my birthday. I couldn't be bothered ruining my birthday over going down there and watching it. But
we could have had a day in London. We could have finally had that beer.
Yeah. It was a case of I just said it's got a goal in it, and it's either side, and we just fell the wrong side of the margin again. I think they probably edged it, but we could have nicked it. I've got a thing this season of slagging people off for doing something like when we scored that goal against you, Josh Brown will whip that one. I went, what's he doing that for? And it just literally just dropped. And then he headed it in. With Jay Rodriguez, I said exactly that. I was like, why is he shooting from there? And then he just crashed it against the crossbar. That goes in. It's a different story.
You saw it from the Burnley perspective and went, why is he crossing it like that? And when I saw it come in, I went, oh, fuck.
Yeah.
So we obviously had a very different take on both of those things. I want to talk about very briefly with you guys, just get your opinion on the others down there at the moment. Are you both casting Norwich off as gone? Yeah. Watford, you seem to think Sean might get out of it, yeah?
Yeah, I do.
What's the thinking behind that? The fixtures, the offensive players have got?
Yeah, I just think Roy Hodgson, he's gone in there, and I think he's exactly what they needed to give them a base to play from. And I think they've got some, really good players that can, at the top end, that can nick them goals. I don't know, is Ismaila Sarr's back, isn't he?
I mean, it would be pretty critical to them if he is, but I mean, Cucho's been playing there, has actually been the player who's been scoring recently.
Dennis is a player. I still can't believe that they got him, I really can't. But he's a player. Josh King can chip in. I just think they've got a bit more up top than Burnley have, and I've got a feeling that Watford have got the best chance to stay up.
It's interesting that you can't believe that Watford got Dennis. There's 2 million FPL managers can't believe they bought him either, mate, in fairness, when you reflect on that. But it's interesting looking at Watford's fixtures compared to the two of you. They've still got to go to Anfield, the Etihad, and Stamford Bridge. And their other away game they've got left is Crystal Palace, which is certainly not easy. So there feels like there's more pressure on their home games, which look great, admittedly. Leeds, Brentford, Burnley, Leicester, Everton. You got 4 of the bottom 6 still to play at home, and Leicester might have nothing to play. Well, probably have got nothing to play for, but might be distracted by European involvements as well. But there's real pressure on them home fixtures, and to bring tables back in for Jack, Watford's got the worst home record of the lot so far, but it might be mitigated by the fact they've still got them fixtures to go.
Yeah, that's how I see it. But I in my head, it's between Watford and Burnley.
And what, you're finishing 19th, are you?
To stay up, I think we will.
I love your positive outlook. Leeds, safe or not, guys?
Not quite, I don't think.
No, I'm in agreement. Yeah,
I think they'll stay up.
Brentford, still involved? Because if you want to go down the fixture route, their next 5: Chelsea away, West Ham at home, Watford away, Tottenham at home, Man United away. You could lose all of them, and then you're down to the final 3.
Yeah, I think they're more likely to get sucked in than Leeds are.
I think the next 2 are massive for Leeds, aren't they? Andy Martin said that to us the other week. Southampton and Watford, the next 2. If they do well in them, they should be all right. If they don't, then they're going to be dragged right back into it. That Wolves win obviously came from absolute nowhere for them, which has obviously given them a cushion. But, I mean, they're 8 points clear of you, Jack. You got 3 games in hand. It's easier said than done winning them 3 games in hand, isn't it? Especially when you've only won 3 all season, right? Newcastle and above, we think safe. Is that fair?
Yeah.
I hope they're on the beach by the last day of the season anyway.
Yeah, Newcastle and above. Yes, that was going to be the one, wasn't it, Jack?
Yeah.
You were going to send them and their millions down. That's clearly not going to happen, is it? If you got final day, oh God, Sean.
Arsenal,
Yeah, you don't need to be picking up points in that if you need to stay up, I don't think. It feels like for yourself, Sean, and I think the same applies for Watford, home fixtures critical. I don't feel like that's quite the case for you, Jack. Looking at your away games you've got left, Norwich, West Ham, Watford, Tottenham. There's something in there, isn't there?
Yeah, I think I'd rather play them away, to be honest. I think at the minute we've got that slight, where the fans get on the back a little bit at home. So I think, I'd rather have those fixtures away than at home. But I mean, it's hard to really muster up and say we've got form either way when we've only won 3. And,
what is the discontent, Jack, with the fan base? You're sounding like you're trying to put a positive spin when maybe a lot of the fans don't quite feel that way at the moment.
I think there's a general consensus that is a bit like just thinking that we're down and we're down and out, we're out of ideas. But like back to the Brentford game, I don't think we've been that poor in many games. Albeit, I'm not going to sit here and say, we've won 3 games, we deserve to stay up. You have to turn draws into wins and get some points on the board. But I think there's definitely fight in us, and from even the manager looking down, you think if anyone's in terms of the management, we've got probably the best one in there, I think, to keep us up. So yeah, there's definitely life in us, but it's just worrying that you've got to win more games than you've won all season in the remaining.
You'll have to.
So,
Sean, thoughts on Lampard?
Feel sorry for him in a lot of ways, but he's because he really hasn't got many options. I mean, every time we get a bad result, which is obviously most weeks at the minute, that you see people certain correspondents sticking the knife in, and I just think, well,
there's a lot of people don't like Frank Lampard. Well, sorry, Sean.
No, it's fine, but if you was to put an Arteta in charge of Everton, we wouldn't be doing any better. The players just aren't there. The options really aren't there. I mean, what happened in January? The January transfer window was just right up there with as bad a window as we've had while Mashiri's been at the club. I mean, to sign 5 players and not one of them makes an impact on the team is just staggering.
So has Donny van der Beek not improved you at all?
No.
Delhi's not involved.
No.
And I'm afraid to say,
he's not going to be.
It's what I anticipated. El Ghazi, he's not even got a pitch, see?
No. I called it as soon as we signed him. I said, this is this year's Josh King.
And Mikalenko and Patterson. I saw Patterson have one mazy run for Scotland the other night against Poland, and seemed to be all over my timeline of Evertonians appealing. Why is he not playing? Well, I'll ask you, why is Patterson not playing?
We don't know. I mean, it just looks like Lampard doesn't fancy him in any way, shape or form.
And Mikalenko?
Which is bizarre. Mikalenko's done all right, but again, the manager doesn't seem to rate him.
There's a lot of people on the outside, Sean, will say, and I don't disagree with your point that most other managers would be struggling at the moment. There's a lot of people look at your squad and go, Richarlison, Calvert-Lewin, we know, has missed the majority of the season. Gordon, Townsend's done all right for you. Decore, Gray, like you have got offensive players. I didn't even mention Rondon intentionally. You have got some offensive players. I mean, a few of them that I've mentioned would probably get in Jack's team quite comfortably, I should think.
Most of them would, yeah.
Well, there you go.
There's no sort of there's no cohesive structure though to the team, and it's like they seem to get as disillusioned as the rest of the players, really, really quickly in games. And this is why I think there's a stark difference between a home and away form, because at home, the crowd makes sure that they give 110% right throughout the game. But as soon as you go away, they're all retreat to the shells, Richarlison, Calvert-Lewin, Damari Gray included. And then as soon as we concede, they just go to pieces.
Do you think the players realise the magnitude of the situation?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's half the reason why we're in this mess.
But they're feeling the pressure, you mean?
Because I honestly think we've put together a squad of mentally weak footballers. I think that's why the crowd not being around out in away games. And I think that's why, the away record this season is so poor. Because in the face of adversity, we just will crumble. That's where we are really consistent. And that's why I know that when we go to Burnley and Watford, we will get comfortably beat. The atmosphere will be up, we'll go behind, and they'll just crumble.
Jack suggested it might not be at Burnley, but I suppose for the Everton game, it's got to be, hasn't it, Jack?
Yeah, I mean, you hope so, but then we drew at home to Norwich. We dropped points to Leeds. It's been just the same old story for us. So, and it's not through the want of trying. I definitely don't see it as a walkover. I don't think we'll come to beat Everton at all. We're yet to still click up front, really. We're still not look too bad at the back, but we need to score more goals if we want to start winning games comfortably.
Sean, would you rather have someone like Allardyce in charge for these last few games?
Yeah.
Do you think it's something the club should consider?
I don't think there's no chance that they'll get rid of Frank between now and the end of the season.
Do you think my take on it is I feel like he's got a certain way that he wants to play, and a little bit like what you said, he just hasn't got the tools to do it right now, and therefore it's looking like it might have been better if he'd gone down an interim route again and appointed him in the summer, maybe. Yeah,
well, I know Allardyce. He's obviously not very popular at Everton because of some of the things that he sort of come out and said while he was manager. I mean, it was very much all about him. I thought he would have grasped the opportunity at Everton with both hands. It's probably the biggest club that he's been in charge of. And after the whole England debacle, there was a chance for him to really do something. And he got off to a promising start, but he never made any attempt to change the style of play in any way, shape or form, even when we were comfortably going to stay up. And then he just started winding fans up in press conferences.
Yeah, no, I get that. And to be honest, I use Allardyce, which is not a great example. So I know like most Everton fans wouldn't want him back. Yeah. But I mean, to be honest, if I said to you, if Sean Dyche was unemployed and Sean Dyche was to go into yours for the last 11 games, I think you'd feel more comfortable.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I've spoke about needing a pragmatic manager for a long time now.
You had one and it was awful, mate.
And, yeah. Well, he was, but that's the thing. He wasn't quite as pragmatic as I thought he was gonna be in his approach. I never thought we'd be rubbish at defending set pieces because we were really good under Ancelotti. After the first few months, he sorted us out, and I thought Benitez would see that and just copy it, but he never. He ripped it up and put something in that just totally didn't work, and it was baffling, but. But we absolutely, Allardyce was on TalkSport and he said that, he still spoke to Ferguson, and Ferguson was manager and wanted, even on a temporary basis, and wanted some help. Allardyce was willing to go in, and I think that's what potentially would have been a better option, just putting Duncan in charge, see what he can do to the end of the season, get Allardyce in to help him, and go down that road. Because when we were linked with Graham Potter, I was saying it'd just be a nightmare. I mean, I'm sure Graham Potter is and will be a really good manager, but not for us now. And Lampard's doing exactly what I was afraid would happen if Potter got the job. And he's trying to play football with players that I know cannot play football. They can't pass a ball. And it's just suicide to have Michael Keane close to the halfway line trying to pass a football because he's rubbish. So's Holgate. So's Coleman. So's Kenny. There's no other options with Mina out. It's utterly. I just.
Who is his best partner? When Mina is back fit, who's his best partner? Godfrey.
I don't think they're all as crap as each other, to be honest.
Okay.
Ben Godfrey. I remember our friend, our Norwich correspondent. When we signed him, I said, what's he like? He said, he'd be a good player, but he's not ready. He's not ready to play first team football for Everton, and he done really well for a spell under Ancelotti.
Yeah, I liked what I saw of him last year, and I liked what I saw of him at Norwich before that as well. To be honest,
he got COVID, so I don't know whether he's sort of suffering effects of long COVID, but I just think at centre back, he shows lapses in concentration. I mean, he's a young lad, but I don't think he's significantly better than Keane. Holgate's atrocious. Utterly, he shouldn't be at the club anymore, but neither should Kenny. But they are, and that's why we're suffering.
Okay, you two lads want to talk FPL, or just want to add the podcast?
Yeah, let's go for it.
Right, Jack, if you're sitting there with Raul Jimenez in your team right now, Weghorst is obvious to buy, isn't it?
Well, I'm sitting with them both in my team, so I'm benching Jimenez this week.
So are you buying Calvert-Lewin instead?
No, I think in terms of Weghorst, I think he's one of them. If you've got him, you obviously certainly hold him. In terms of going there, if you want to tick off a Burnley doubler, like I said earlier with the defence, it's suicide taking a hit to take a Burnley defender against Man City, regardless of who the next game is in the double. So, yeah, I think the only two that would be a viable option for me would be Weghorst and Cornet, and there's still the injury risk with Cornet.
Cornet, bless him. I really like him, but I don't feel like he's going to be fit for longer than a week at a time, mate. He's another one. Him and Goodmanson probably down the pub every week.
Yeah.
If
they could coordinate their injuries well enough, we could have a player that could play every week.
Team,
yeah. I think Weghorst in this running now will be vital. We've always seen Chris Wood in the past 4 seasons score 10 plus goals for us. So I think if Weghorst, Wood already scored 3, I think if Weghorst can reach 7 or 8 between now and the end of the season, with how solid we are in defence, that should hopefully be enough. So yeah, I think if there's any player to kick on, I mean, I look at my team and from a Burnley point of view, I think, oh God, like is he going to do the business? But thinking logically, we are going to start to swing off fists a bit more. We're probably going to try and be a little bit more offensive. At home against Everton, I want to see us come out and try and dominate the game. Use the home advantage. So yeah, I wouldn't talk anyone out of buying him if that's your logic you're going down.
I think it's the logic of it's not with Weghorst. I think particularly it's not just double. It's the after as well.
Yeah,
it's the knowing that okay, fine, it might just be 4 points. Then it's Norwich. Okay, it might even be 2 points. Then there's another double. It's West Ham and Southampton. Then it's Wolves, and we've spoken about the possibility that might be where the Aston Villa fixture goes in 34. Then 35 is Watford, 36 is Villa, and you're at the end, and he stayed till that massive Newcastle game in 38. Yeah. He's ended up sitting there all season. Now, I think there is that possibility with Weghorst, particularly for those without the chips, that he could go in and he may end up staying in. Because even in 37, you bench him at Tottenham, for example.
Yeah.
If you're not bench boosting.
We joke about City. I mean, We've taken points off them at home before. Issues at the Etihad, but we get thumped. So, I can see us nicking a goal. So, and if with him being pretty much the central striker, it's pretty much going to come through him. We've talked about Watford, and there's a 1 in 3 chance that you've got the correct score, haven't you? And that's without even chucking any of the other midfielders in there. Whereas I think with us, we know how much we rely on that big striker up front. How good we are at set pieces and stuff. So yeah, I think it's a sensible one. But I wouldn't completely disregard City. Not that I think we're going to get anything out of the game, but
no. But we should say we're pre-recording this on Monday night, so we haven't obviously got all the team news for the weekend as it stands at the moment. But obviously, John Stones pulled out for England on Monday. Now, I understand time recording, he may even be involved for England on Tuesday night. But if suddenly he's out and Aki's playing, Weghorst will pull all over him, mate.
I mean, if you're making excuses for City players and injuries in their squad depth, then
look, I've got Weghorst.
Yeah.
And I part left him in because I thought the Everton fixture was going to land in 32, which I think is going to be a difficult captaincy week for people. And I think if it had been Norwich and Everton as the double, then we'd possibly, we'd really push on to your assets and stuff. I think Weghorst, for certain people with like Jimenez problems, maybe they gambled on an Iheanacho or Daka, then there's a viable route to look at it. Another one might be, Jack, is Ramsdale owners. Don't know where his fitness is at the moment. If he's out for a couple of weeks and you haven't got a backup goalkeeper, Pope's the alternative again, isn't it?
Yeah. He's another one where, you'd be a bit confused to go in and think, do I really want to get him against Man City? But it's the safe points as well. And we have in the years been a little bit more tidier at home against City. So, yeah, I think, you said looking at the bigger picture with some of the other fixtures coming up, like your Watford, your Norwich, we don't want to be, you'd be hoping for at least a couple of clean sheets across some of those. So, yeah, I mean, it makes sense. And he's always good for a good safe point because we know we invite a lot of shots that he usually deals with quite well. So, yeah, I wouldn't talk anyone out of that.
And Tom Campbell was right, I think, on our podcast on Monday to bring up Connor Roberts, who, if you were going down the defensive line, I said he's basically nailed at the moment. I mean, is that fair? Like, while he's playing all right, he stays in the team over Lowton, I guess.
Yeah, there was doubts in the last double, so I was a bit unsure if there was going to be a rotation that Lowton would be the one. again, it was a bit unprecedented for us to have like the double and then play all four, but he did. So I think, like we said, it's his shirt to lose. He's, don't know if everyone knows if they managed to watch many Burnley games, but he's got a monster giant throw in as well. So it's only one day it's going to happen where it lands on someone's head and he gets the assist. So, and he's not a bad crosser of the ball. He gets up and down the wing. So yeah,
he's more offensive, isn't he? Like he's a decent ball carrier on that from fullback.
He is. I think he's a better dribbler and he keeps hold of it better. I think Loughton's got a better delivery than he has. But I think that's sometimes because Loughton was a bit lazier and didn't run into the box, so we'd just whip in an early cross, which we'd sometimes get on the end of, whereas Roberts is a little bit more sustained in his build-up. But yeah, he's a definite upgrade on Loughton.
Okay. That will please some who are obviously on. It's 90 minutes, 10 games in a row now. So I think, where we had those concerns, we probably shouldn't now. Also, obviously, interestingly, going into this week, and it's difficult for Everton as different for Everton as it is for you. You play Saturday, Wednesday, and then Sunday against Norwich. There's not a problem. Whereas Everton got West Ham Sunday, yourselves Wednesday, and then Manchester United Saturday lunchtime. So the turnarounds are tighter. Not that I think Everton are going to be worrying about rotation for these games. They'll get the best 11 on the pitch whenever they can, I should imagine. But I'd say with the 4-day gaps between the games, you shouldn't have any issue there. If you
he's obviously something to bear in mind that he is international for Wales, so he played last week. Just look, they play Czech Republic again tomorrow. So
friendly though, isn't it? So
yeah, but avoid the early transfer. You might play 90 minutes or get injured or something. You just never know. But I still think, regardless of, I think he'll come back in good enough shape to still be fine for the weekend. So
yeah, I totally find your point valid though about you still want to buy a Burnley player when he's got a double Man City's the first game.
Yeah,
it does feel ridiculous. I feel like Roberts is a really interesting one. Maybe I wouldn't rule him out. Obviously, if Trent's out for a while, you can obviously downgrade to that area, take a chance on it. I think that's what the point he was trying to make on Monday's pod, and it would definitely be him of the defensive guys at the moment, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
You wouldn't pay the extra for Tarkowski or anything, would you?
No. Tarkowski seems to run up with every giant throw in though, so he's the one that goes up and gets in the box. So whether there is something in that, if you've got money to burn, then I wouldn't be against it. But I think if you're trying to keep the budget down, then Roberts is better value.
And Cornet, is he fit?
He travelled with Ivory Coast. I think he
probably not. Didn't Dyche really shagged them, slagged them off after the AFCON, didn't they?
Yeah,
that was a good slip, wasn't it?
Yeah, because he didn't even play that much for them.
Stop giggling about kids.
But yeah, he's just been a frustrating one because he set the world alight when he first came, and you sort of look and you think, his numbers weren't really that sustainable, but you hoped he would sort of level out in the middle and we'd find a bit of consistency. He's been working with a personal trainer as well, so I think he's working hard to get his fitness up there. I think he's just another one though that suffers a bit from the rigors of the Premier League, and he's missed out on a proper, Sean Dyche pre-season. So he'd definitely be one to consider for next year, but he's a bit punty at the minute because you don't know what shape you're going to get him in. That being said, though, he's got an amazing record against Man City. So
that is true, yeah.
Pre-Burnley days.
Yes,
but obviously
Johnny Pringle mentioned that to us before you did the pod together in the autumn, and he missed the one-on-one actually didn't he?
Yeah. I think that was his first full debut. I think he'd only briefly featured against Arsenal before that. So yeah, I think he's that good that if he's even at 70%, I think we've seen Dyche look to use him, which is not his usual style. But I think the position we're in, with how good he's good a start he had, he's a bit of a weird one to want to leave out, really. So there's defo a space for him. It's just whether his fitness keeps up there.
Does that leave Rodriguez as a no-go? Because most people obviously want to see a lot of people going, how many minutes is Gelhardt going to get and stuff like that. And you do think, well, Rodriguez is 5.2. It's not that expensive. Should people be looking if they're downgrading as much as anything?
There's definitely a case for that. He should have started the games when Cornet did. He got a good goal. Trying to think who it was against now at home. Was it United? Yeah, I think it was United. And then he dipped out the team again, was dropped the next week, which isn't Dyche's usual style. And then obviously in hindsight, Cornet hadn't had the best of games and everyone said Rodriguez should have started. But I think if we'd have left Cornet on the bench, he'd have then said on the flip side, oh, Rodriguez played shite, why didn't Cornet play? So I wouldn't be surprised if Rodriguez played 180 minutes across the double, or I wouldn't be surprised if Cornet played 180 minutes. The fact that Cornet's gone back to Ivory Coast makes me think that he's at least of some fitness.
Yeah.
But it just depends what shape he comes back in.
What Burnley players have you got at the moment, Jack?
Just Weghorst.
And he's obviously staying.
Yeah.
Any thoughts of captain him?
No. More thoughts of captaining Cancelo than I have Weghorst.
Okay, fine. That's good enough. Sean, you got any Burnley at the moment?
No.
Any plans?
Yeah, I've got Jimenez, so I'm probably going to transfer
to
him
Weghorst.
Yeah, so you're going to get 3 then.
No, he's not. I think
Everton as bad as he says.
I think that's an obvious one. I know people will say, "Oh, you're getting sucked in by the double," but actually, I think Jimenez to Weghorst is quite straightforward. Unless Sean, can you talk up your 2 guys at all? If you've got the money in the bank, Richarlison or Calvert-Lewin?
No.
Why?
No, I just don't see goals in us. Don't see many goals between now and the end of the season. Dom's just, I don't know. He comes back, he picks up a knock, he's out again, he's back, he gets a little strain, he's out again. I'm not fully convinced he's fully committed anymore, to be honest.
That's sad to hear. I'm not convinced that's the case, but you'll know better than me, mate. I think we've spoken about this. The chances are one of those 2 players at least is probably going to leave in the summer anyway. Yeah. But no, look, he's come through. I think he does care about Everton Football Club, mate.
Yeah, I can't help but think there's a few of these who have mentally left. Really do. They're thinking of where the next move's going to be, and I think it just shows on the pitch. It just stands out like a sore thumb to me. Richie, I love the lad for his effort, his commitment, his endeavour. But again, when we're away from home and the chips are down, he goes missing as much as the rest of them. Really does.
I hear you. I'm looking at that penciled I've got in further down the line. Leicester Palace double 36, Brentford Watford double 37. If it happens, I'm going to need to speak to you again, sure. Closer to the time, mate. Because to be honest, those 4 fixtures are going to be difficult for people not to want to invest in Everton players. I think now it's quite difficult. I don't think you could make a case for Calvert-Lewin or Richarlison over Weghorst. I mean, for one, they're more money and it's possibly not affordable. Plus, the tight turnarounds of the game. In Calvert-Lewin's case, I don't think Calvert-Lewin plays Sunday, Wednesday, Saturday lunchtimes. Too much at the moment. Yeah. And then you've got Leicester 33, fine, and Liverpool, then Chelsea. It's one to come back for the wild carders, isn't it? I think maybe. Look at it in 35 or so. Even then, you're probably thinking I want to bench him while playing Chelsea in 35, possibly.
Yeah. I just don't really just think there's better options out there, especially at the prices. I mean, the strikers overall aren't great at the minute anyway, are they, outside of Harry Kane?
What about Anthony Gordon, though, mate? Surely Anthony Gordon's a fairly solid get for people at the moment. 4.5, seems to be playing all the games. He's the one player that Lampard seems to have given some praise to in recent games. Gordon's a reasonable get at 4.5, surely.
I think he's a gamble. It's like, it depends. I don't see goals in us. I don't see wins in us. So I don't see it worth getting Gordon, because I just don't think there's going to be many points going around. He's full of effort and endeavour, and he's a young lad, and he's definitely going to be a player. But at the minute, us as a team and him as an individual are scratching round for a bit of end product. And if we knew Don was fit and we knew Don was playing every game, then I'd be interested in Anthony Gordon, because he can put a cracking cross in from deep or out wide.
In your opinion, do you think he's definitely first choice at the moment?
Anthony Gordon?
Yeah.
Well, he has been, but that's been because we've had injury issues with the likes of Calvert-Lewin, Damari Gray. Because obviously, if Dom's out, Richie moves and plays as a striker. But if Dom's playing week in, week out, then Richarlison's going to play wide left in all likelihood, or he can play wide right. But Damari Gray can also play wide left or wide right. So that impacts on Anthony Gordon. So that's what I mean. Dom's availability to me means that Anthony Gordon's minutes could be restricted. And I think Frank's desperate to play free in the middle, but he hasn't been able to because of the injury issues.
Yeah, well, I mean, he said after the Tottenham game, didn't he? He really wanted to play back three, but said that he didn't have the centre halves to do it, and then played the back three in the game you had afterwards anyway.
Yeah, I mean, Fabian Delph's also come back, return to training. So for like the Burnley game, there's every chance that he'll play Delph with Van der Beek and Doucouré with Alan.
Of course, Alan's suspended till 32, isn't he?
Yeah.
Is that a blow? Because I know you were a little bit critical of his performances as well, but it's a blow, yeah?
Yeah, massive. There's just nobody that can do anything like the job that Alan does when he's on his game. I mean, he's as bad as the rest of them when he's either brilliant or he's shit, like a lot of Everton players. But him missing these games is just huge. I was just made up he missed the Palace game as one of the three. Because that obviously means he's only going to miss the 2 league games, and we were never going to win the FA Cup anyway. So, but it's just vital that Delph. I mean, it says it all when you put your hopes on Fabian Delph and Yerry Mina being fit. But that's our only chance of giving Burnley a game if them two play.
Could you make any case for FPL managers to look at Pickford at the moment?
No, we're atrocious at the back. We really are.
But you make it sound like he's going to be bloody busy, Sean.
Yeah, well, he will be. No. If you've got Pickford, get rid of him.
I really hope, Sean, that I hope you look back on this podcast in 6 months and laugh about it, mate.
Yeah, I do, but I won't.
I hope he looks at the next one and laughs at it, not this one.
I think Everton assets is off the table. Other than Gordon, I don't even think Gordon's a buy unless you're downgrading to budget midfield, but it's probably
the
not.
FPL scout was bigging up Demarai Gray today.
Thoughts on that, Sean?
No. I mean,
who is the FPL scout?
Sudge, in it.
Could be, yeah.
Where he's gone on his holidays.
Sudge would have gone full blown on like Andre Gomez instead or something, mate, rather than Demarai Gray. So Demarai Gray, Sean, go on, finish on that.
No, I don't. Again, his minutes are going to be restricted. I just think there's a bit too. Mind you, with
he's too important. He was unfortunate with the injuries because he had a really good first half of the season for you, didn't he?
Oh, he did. But he's like, sort of fizzled out the last few appearances when he's come on or when he's played. He just seems to get his head down now and run into traffic. He might beat 1 or 2, but then he tries to beat 3 and 4, and that's where it breaks down. So there's sadly not been much end product from him lately, like, a lot of our attacking players.
Okay. Thanks so much, guys. Let's do predictions before we finish. Jack, the annual Manchester City fest, but it's at home. Give us a prediction, mate.
You like to get me on against Man City, don't you?
To be honest with you, if you've not had the double with Sean, you may have been on with Johnny again. I'm not going to lie.
You must hate me. I'm going to be optimistic and go 1-0 defeat.
Okay. Sean, the trip to West Ham, we haven't spoken about it.
3-0 West Ham.
Okay, that's fairly unanimous. And the big game next Wednesday then. Go on, Jack.
Well, you give me some hope, Sean. I'm going to go 2-0 Burnley.
Wow. Sean?
2-1 Burnley.
You think you score?
Yeah, I reckon we'll go 1-0 up and then get beat.
Shit the bed.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm concerned about Saturday, Jack. If Kevin Long's playing and Tarkowski's playing left-sided centre-back. So I'm probably going to go 3-0 City, I think. Sean, I'm sorry, mate. 3-0 was what I had in mind for you on Sunday as well to West Ham. I think you're actually quite unlucky with where the West Ham game has fallen, because I think if it had fallen at any other point, their distraction might be somewhere else. But the fact that it's 4 days before Europa and stuff, I'm sure they'll want to put a show on following the Tottenham game and stuff. So, yeah, I'd go 3-0 West Ham. I've got concerns about centre-back, Jack, still, for the Everton game even. But I think what Sean said about Alan is pivotal to that game as well. Can't turn up against yours and be weak in that area and weak defensively. So I'm going to agree with Sean. I'm going to go 2-1 Burnley as a prediction. I do think you'll score if Mee's out. If Mee's back, then I could see that maybe being a clean sheet for you, Jack. I think you nick it. But I'll give you the caveat, Sean. I really think you'll stay up. I think that the home games you've got left, I think you'll win 3 of them 5. And I think you'll stay up. I'm more confident, actually, despite these predictions of you staying up than Jack, because they've got the chasing to do. And I know the game's in hand there, but I think Jack will feel the same. You know, you've got to win 4 games left, probably. You only won 3 out of 27 or something. And that's got to change. I think you've got the firepower, Sean. I think you'll end up winning 1 or 2 of them games left, like 3-2, and it won't be good for your heart and stuff like that.
The bottom 4 that you don't see it coming, and they win 1, they win 2, and that's it. They just shoot right up there. I think it's just a case of who's that team going to be.
I also think Brentford and Leeds are not safe. And I think Brentford are worth keeping an eye on, actually, because the next 4 or 5 they've got is tough. And if yourselves and Watford perform well over the same period, it will drag them into it, and they'll get worried because they've not been involved in it all year, right? But I certainly wish you both the very best of luck for the rest of the season. Jack, where can everyone follow you on the Bird app, mate?
At Turfy Topper.
And Sean?
At Spirit_Blues.
Thank you very much, guys. If you thought that Sean was depressed, wait, I've got Mark Hammond, FPL Badger, on to talk about Norwich on Thursday. I don't know if he's going to give him a chance or not, but I'm looking forward to speaking to Mark, and he'll be on with Sam, FPL Seagull, our Brighton correspondent, on Thursday's Clash of the Correspondents. What has happened to Brighton? No idea. And there's a bonus Clash of the Correspondents for you next Monday as well, with FPL Pringle and FPL Loco Lord previewing what may well be a title decider between Manchester City and Liverpool. That'll be next Monday. Other than that, thanks very much again to Jack and to Sean. I'll be back with the Sky Fantasy Pod tomorrow with Ian Parron. Cue music, please, man, child.